What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the JuiceBox presented by Lock City. It's Whitey here today. Happy Sunday. Hope everyone's having a good weekend and has enjoyed the CS2 action so far this week at BLAST Bounty Malta. Currently, the grand final is going on right now. Spirit just took a one-map lead. They're up 1-0 in the BO5. But today we're going to be switching gears a little bit for episode 183. We're going to look forward to the Esports World Cup in Riyadh this week. It's going to be kicking off the CS2 World Championship. The opening matches are going to be Wednesday, August 20th, this Wednesday. We'll do a quick review of tournament structure, and then, of course, review the first 6 games on the board for Wednesday. In addition to that, we will, of course, go on to Thunderpick and take a look at the parlays that we have scoped out so far, as well as one futures winner for the tournament winner. So without further ado, let's hop into it. Firstly, we'll just do a quick overview of the Esports World Cup. So first time I was made aware of this was last year. I believe it was the first time it ever happened, or at least the first time that they looped CS2 into it. So 16 teams are going to be competing here. Everyone mostly from VRS Global Rankings with the exception of TYLOO. We have Team Vitality, MOUZ, Team Spirit, Falcons, MongolZ, Aurora Gaming, G2, Na'Vi, GamerLegion, FaZe Clan, Astralis, 3D Max, Heroic, Team Liquid, Virtus.pro, and TYLOO. So arguably all of the best teams in the world here. The way that this tournament is set up, I'll scroll up just slightly here. It's going to be single elimination bracket, so it's just one big playoff style bracket. As soon as you lose, you are going home. Every single match is going to be BO3, including the grand final. The grand final is also a BO3 for this one. Prize pool is huge. Shout out to the Saudis. First place is taking home $500,000. The entire prize pool, as we can see over here, is $1.25 million. But the breakdown as follows over here on the left-hand side of your screen. Scrolling down to what the bracket looks like. For round 1, obviously 8 matchups across these 16 teams. At the top of the bracket, we're going to have Team Vitality taking on Team Liquid. They just played each other as well here at BLAST Bounty Malta. Needed a couple of overtimes. It was closer than most people would have expected, myself included. Astralis will be taking on TYLOO. Na'Vi has 3D Max up on the slate for them. GamerLegion will meet the MongolZ. MOUZ plays Virtus.pro. That's going to be a really good one. G2 and Falcons, another really good one. A big grudge match there. FaZe Clan and Aurora, 2 teams that are very inconsistent. We'll get into that one shortly, but I feel like it could probably go either way. And then Heroic and Team Spirit to wrap it up there. Heroic, obviously, Tanir is looking to join Team Spirit following Esports World Cup. It's rumored that he's going to be replacing Zontix, or almost certainly going to be replacing Zontix. So good on Team Spirit if they end up pulling out this grand final here. That would be sick for Zontix and his resume before they move on and upgrade in firepower here shortly for Tanir. So let's slide over to HLTV. The first games here are going to kick off on Wednesday, this Wednesday, August the 20th. 6 of the 8 games for the opening round are going to take place there, and then the final 2 will take place on Thursday. I'm kind of leaning FaZe here. I haven't really decided, and then this one's going to be an obvious Spirit for me. But those ones we'll talk about on Wednesday because we'll have 2 other matches that we'll be able to loop in there. So we'll do a video on Wednesday that covers each of those. For today, we are going to talk about these 6 that we see on the screen here, and I've created some parlays with them that y'all can tail on Thunderpick or whatever your preferred esports book is in advance of Wednesday. So we'll break them down one by one, obviously, as we always do. The first 2 that we'll talk about are going to be 7 a.m. Eastern Time. That's going to be Team Vitality and Team Liquid, and then TYLOO and Astralis. So Team Vitality and Team Liquid, we'll just scroll down here because these teams have met recently. Obviously, the most recent game that Liquid played here was against Vitality. Vitality did need overtime in both of these, which was pretty crazy considering the form that we've seen Liquid in as of recent. Vitality on Train, it needed to go 16-13, and then Nuke needed to go 19-16. But nonetheless, Vitality did win it 2-0. While we're looking at the map pool, same sort of story here. I think this will be easier for Vitality. They're not going to want either of these maps to go to overtime. Obviously, huge stakes on the table as well for both of these teams, and Liquid does play up to the level of their competition when they do play better teams. So respect for Liquid in that capacity. But with the stakes on the line here, you have the #1 team in the world. I know Vitality just lost to MongolZ. They lost to MOUZ there. there. But when you look at overall for 2025, they've only lost 4 matches over the course of now 8.5 months for all of 2025. So Vitality is still, I know they just fell to number 2 in global VRS rankings. I know I'm a Spirit fan. I'm very happy Spirit took number 1. But talent-wise, Vitality, and form-wise, Vitality is probably still the best team in the world. Vitality will beat Liquid here. They will beat Liquid here 2-0. It should be more convincing than the last time out. If you want to go micro into maps here, I think map 2, like a Vitality minus 3.5 is probably good. But my best bet for this one is going to be Vitality minus 1.5 map spread. They're going to knock out Liquid in the first round at Riyadh. They're going to send Liquid home. It's going to be convincing. The next one up, also 7 a.m. Eastern time, is going to be TYLOO and Astralis. So for TYLOO and Astralis, it looks like the public is pretty split on this one. I am leaning on the side of Astralis pretty heavily, not going to lie. On the TYLOO side of things, obviously a great team, 18th best team in the world. They're the only team, as we slid over here, the only team that qualified for this one through a Champions League. Everything else was VRS global rankings. So back over to TYLOO and Astralis over here. Obviously, TYLOO's got a good roster. They've been playing well. When we've seen these teams play recently, the most recent 2 times were both in July, so very, very recent comps, both at Fisher Playground. We saw TYLOO take both of them. TYLOO beat Astralis 2-1 here earlier on, and then in the grand final at Fisher Playground, TYLOO ended up winning this as well. So I do lean to Astralis in this one, though. I was about to say TYLOO. I do lean Astralis in this one, though. I think they're going to bounce back. The stakes are higher. This is not Fisher Playground. This is the Esports World Championship. I think TYLOO's a good team. TYLOO definitely, again, kind of like Liquid, plays up to the level of their competition. But this is just apples to oranges. Astralis is better. 11th ranked in the world. I don't think they're going to drop this. If we want to micro down onto maps here, I do think that TYLOO could win a Mirage. I do think that TYLOO could win a Nuke over Astralis. I do think TYLOO, Train we're going to see banned. And then on the TYLOO side of things, Dust 2 we're going to see banned. So I don't know what we'll see on Overpass. I do think TYLOO could sneak Ancient, but my money's on Astralis to take Inferno. Astralis probably takes Nuke here. I think Astralis would take Overpass, and Astralis has a decent probability of taking Ancient. I would say the only one that I feel comfortable about on the TYLOO side of things is going to be Mirage. So give me Astralis here on the money line as a lean. TYLOO plus 1.5, definitely not a bad bet. If we're scrolling up in terms of odds, the TYLOO plus 1.5 is going to be a little bit less than the Astralis money line. For that reason being, I'm going to lean Astralis money line just from an odds perspective here. But give me Astralis in this one. I do think they squeak it out, but this will be a good game. This will be a close game. Would not be surprised at all if it goes 3 maps. But my lean is Astralis, even though I don't like them as a team here. The next ones that we're going to talk about are going to be Navi and 3D Max, and then GamerLegion and the MongolZ, both at 10:15 a.m. Eastern time. First one up here, Navi and 3D Max. Another really, really good game. Public consensus really heavy on Navi. I do agree that Navi wins this, but I don't agree necessarily with how heavy that is. 3D Max is still a good team. They have a lot of national pride. They end up playing really well. They're obviously, for those of you that watch 3D Max games, they're very, very vocal as well. They get into teams' heads. Navi has somewhat of a stable mental, but I don't trust them a whole lot. I do like MongolZ. I like what we've seen out of MongolZ since moving up from Navi Junior and coming over to the main roster here. I think he's had a first couple of good showings, but this roster, all in all, they scare me for whatever reason. I wouldn't be surprised if 3D Max won a map here. I would not be surprised at all. I could see them winning Ancient. I could see them winning Nuke. I could see them winning Dust 2, assuming Navi continues to ban Overpass here. 3D Max is going to ban Mirage. I think Navi obviously wins Inferno. I think Navi wins Nuke. I think Navi wins Train. So for that reason, I do lean Navi on the money line. I think that the odds are kind of outrageous. Could definitely see 3D Max winning a map here. Not one that I'm going to bet super heavily on because I don't like watching 3D Max necessarily. I don't trust Navi, so this just sounds like a headache to me, to be honest, but I do lean Navi on the money line. Next one up is going to be GamerLegion and MongolZ. This one pretty straightforward for me. I would have expected public consensus to be a little bit heavier on the MongolZ, but nonetheless, I agree MongolZ probably win this. GamerLegion, of course, a pretty strong team, 13th in the world. They've been playing well. I really like PR. One of the better younger talents, I think, on the Counter-Strike roster, but then when you're looking over on the MongolZ side of things, 5 of some of the best young talents in Counter-Strike. So MongolZ win this. We've seen what they've done in this tournament here at Blast Bounty. Obviously, they're on a 4-match win streak now. They beat Vitality 2-0. They beat Aurora, they beat Pain, they beat ENCE, yada, yada, yada. The last 2 times that they played GamerLegion were way earlier this year in March and February. But they won each of those 2-0 at Katowice on Nuke and Mirage, and then at ESL Pro League Season 21 on Inferno and Mirage. I do think that trend continues. I think MongolZ wins here. I think MongolZ wins 2-0. It'll probably be a close 2-0, like a 13-10, 13-11, or like a 13-10 and a 13-9. But MongolZ wins this. MongolZ wins this 2-0. Really good value on it. It's almost double your money for MongolZ to win 2-0. They're not going to get knocked out the first round of the Esports World Cup. Sorry to GamerLegion, but MongolZ is just going to be the better team here and the more convincing team here. Give me MongolZ minus 1.5 map spread. I'm using that as an anchor, which we'll get to in a second. I think I have that on a couple of plays. The last 2 are going to be MOUZ and Virtus.pro and G2 and Falcons, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So on the MOUZ and Virtus.pro side of things, this one going to be sneaky. I agree with the public here. I voted Virtus.pro. I do think MOUZ wins this, but I want Virtus.pro to win this. On the MOUZ side of things, they've been a little bit shaky. Obviously, they got 0-2'd by Spirit here. They got 0-3'd by Spirit here. While we're looking at what these teams have done recently, they did play only a BO1 early on at the Austin Major. Virtus.pro did sneak that out, though, 13-11 when the stakes were high in an opening round matchup. Here they're meeting again in an opening round matchup. It is a BO3, but we saw that Virtus.pro could win on Mirage. I don't question that they might be able to do that again, even though MOUZ has a higher win rate. I think that Virtus.pro could win Inferno. I think that Virtus.pro would definitely win Overpass. I think that Virtus.pro could win Ancient. MOUZ is going to ban Overpass here in all likelihood. They're not going to want to see Virtus.pro on Overpass. That's a smart decision. Virtus.pro is going to ban Nuke. I would imagine MOUZ probably takes Train because Virtus.pro does not have a strong Train. Virtus.pro, maybe Mirage just because they've beaten them on it before. I think Inferno would probably be smart. Ancient, MOUZ's win rate is only 17%, but they've had to play a lot of top teams in there. They've played Spirit pretty decently on Ancient recently. The last time was a little bit of a flop, but prior to that, it had been pretty close. But give me Virtus.pro plus 1.5 map spread here. I think they are able to sneak a map, and then MOUZ obviously on the money line should win this matchup. It should be pretty straightforward and like a 2-1 there for MOUZ. But Virtus.pro, if they sneak the upset, that would be amazing to see. I hope that they do. They're a fun team to watch. I really like Virtus.pro. Give me Virtus.pro plus 1.5 map spread as kind of a favorite bet here, but in terms of what's smartest, probably MOUZ. I just don't think the money line really justifies it. Last one up is going to be G2 and Falcons, also 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and also obviously a BO3. So this one here, I agree with the public as well. I think Falcons probably wins this. This one's going to be good. Obviously, for those of you that might be more casual on the CS2 side of things, Nico used to play for G2. MongolZ used to play for G2. Got bought out by Falcons. Nico on January 1st of this year. MongolZ sometime in the spring, if I remember correctly. Maybe it was early summer, but I think it was late spring, if I remember correctly. And then obviously they bought Kaisuke from Spirit Academy. They paid $2 million for the signing of Kaisuke. So I do think Falcons wins this. Falcons is a team that is sponsored by the Saudis. Falcons is a Saudi organization. They're essentially the host team in the Esports World Cup. It would be a huge embarrassment. I know they've lost early on recently in tournaments. If we're looking at Bucharest, obviously they beat G2 in the final there at Bucharest. Katowice, kind of irrelevant, completely different rosters. They didn't have MongolZ or Kaisuke yet, but G2 did win that. Obviously MongolZ was on G2 at that point in time. So when we're looking at map pool here, it does look like G2 has a better map pool. But again, host team, a lot on the line for Falcons. Would be a massive embarrassment for Team Falcons to go out first round in essentially what is their own hosted tournament in the Esports World Cup, or at least within their own nation. They're essentially the national team here. Falcons needs to win this, so give me Falcons on the money line here. I do think G2 puts up a fight. I do think it could be 2-1. I do think the maps that Falcons do win are probably going to be really close. They could be overtime. They could be 13-10s, 13-11s, but I do think Falcons gets this done. Give me Falcons on the money line. All right, so now we're going to hop over to Thunderpick. Obviously, for all of the odds discussed in today's video, as well as every video, we're going to be using Thunderpick.io, which is one of the top books in the world for esports betting. On Thunderpick.io, you can deposit using crypto, credit card, Apple Pay, or Visa Debit, and Thunderpick has lines for all of your favorite esports, including but not limited to CS2, League, Dota, Valorant, Overwatch, COD, Fortnite, Rocket League, so on and so forth. If you visit tinyurl.com/lcthunder, you can get a 100% deposit match on your first deposit all the way up to $600. So basically any amount that you deposit up to $600, Thunderpick is going to immediately match it for you to be able to use on your esports picks. Obviously, we've been profitable on the CS2 side of things. For those that have been tailing on the BLAST Bounty tournament, we're up like 12 total units throughout the course of this, so about $1,200. We're up prior to that, so we've been having a really good run here. Hope it continues. But with that deposit bonus, you can always try your luck on some of your other favorites as well if you wanted to venture off with that free money to play with. That's going to be tinyurl.com/lcthunder for a 100% deposit bonus at Thunderpick all the way up to $600. All right, so let's get into some parlays and some plays, what we have set up here for the Esports World Cup. First thing that we're going to cover, they maxed me at a $75 max on this one. I would have put a unit or $100 otherwise, but this is just going to be Spirit winner to win the tournament. I know they have a very, very troubling bracket. If we're looking at the bracket here, they're going to have to beat Heroic, then they're going to have to beat either FaZe Clan or Aurora, then they're going to have to beat probably MOUZ up here or Team Falcons, just to get to presumably Vitality, potentially MongolZ in a grand final. So it's going to be a very, very tricky route, but I do think Spirit as the team, the form that they're in right now, and the team like they're playing like right now, even with Zontix getting moved, they are my favorite right now to win the tournament. So I'm going to go a light 0.75 units on that just as a flyer, so we have it as a tournament long special. In addition to that, actually one more quick point on this. I think if Spirit wins the grand final today against MongolZ, these odds are probably going to drop, so wanted to snipe it now. And then up here, in terms of other plays for Wednesday, the first one that we're going to be going with is going to be Vitality -1.5 map spread, so we need Vitality to beat Liquid 2-0, and then MongolZ -1.5 map spread, so we need MongolZ to beat GamerLegion 2-0. I think both of these are very, very likely. 2 units on that is going to pay us 5.5 units. It's 2.76 times your money. The next one up is also going to be a 2-unit play. Here we're going to be going with Virtus.pro +1.5 map spread. If MOUZ is stupid, Virtus.pro could get to play Overpass. If not, Virtus.pro has proven that they can beat MOUZ on other maps, most recently Mirage in a BO1. And then Falcons, obviously, as essentially the host team, cannot afford to go out on the first day, so we're going to use them as our second leg on this one. 2 units here, 2.38 times our money is going to pay 4.76 units. And then lastly, we're going to do a nice little all-day play. This one's going to be a long shot, so definitely if you're only tailing one play, don't make this one the play that you tail. But this one's going to be all 6 games for Wednesday. So the first one, I just picked a favorite line from each one, from each game. The first one's going to be Astralis on the money line, 1.50 times our money. The next one's going to be Team Vitality, -1.5 map spread to beat Liquid 2-0. The next one's going to be MongolZ, same thing, -1.5 map spread to beat GamerLegion 2-0. The next one's going to be Na'Vi, just on the money line. I do think this will probably be close. It'll probably be a 2-1, but I couldn't find it in myself to bet 3D Max +1.5. So we're going to go Na'Vi on the money line here. Then we're going to go with Falcons on the money line again. Like I said, cannot afford to go out in the first round. If they do, they're going to have to make some roster changes. That would just be detrimental to them. And then Virtus.pro +1.5 map spread. I think they're able to sneak one. That one we're just going to throw a unit on because it's obviously a long shot. We're hoping to get some profit here to be able to pay for this this ticket here. But if this one ends up coming through, if we can cash on all 6 of them, that would be an excellent day. That's going to pay 12.48 times our money and give us 12 units off of a 1-unit play. So that would be exceptional. But yeah, hoping to bring y'all some cash here on Wednesday. I feel really good about all of these. I do think Spirit wins the tournament. I think these 2 come through for us, so hopefully the other 2 legs do, because if these 4 legs hit, then we have 4 legs down on this play, and we only have to worry about Na'Vi and Astralis, which are definitely the 2 most worrisome games in my book, which again is why we didn't put them on these plays. But yeah, hope to bring y'all some cash here. Really excited for the Esports World Cup. We'll see y'all back here on Wednesday for some esports action. Obviously, we'll be back for MLB tomorrow. We have the UFC podcast coming up. But on the CS2 side of things, we'll be back Wednesday after these games wrap to cover the Thursday matches and review how we did on these picks here. Thank y'all for listening. Like and subscribe if you like it. Other than that, we will see y'all on Wednesday afternoon. Peace.